Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be the unreasonable expectations of others. I've got an email here from a viewer. He's obviously having a hard time with people in his family that are not accepting of some of the choices that he makes in his own life. And so he's kind of torn with doing things based upon the acceptance of his friends, his family members, his peer group, and what his own heart is telling him to do. One of my favorite quotes that I heard something that Wayne Dyer said, I think it's so powerful. He said, when you trust in yourself, you're trusting in the same wisdom that created you. And so I got a couple quotes here that I want to go through. The first one's by Stevie Wonder. You've probably heard me say this one before, but he says, you can't base your life on other people's expectations. Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to live according to somebody else's expectations, even with your best effort, you're still at some point going to fail to live up to or to meet their expectations. And if you're putting your happiness or your fulfillment upon being accepted by someone or something outside of yourself, you're just setting yourself up to be disappointed. And the next one is by Steve Jobs. He said, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. That's pretty powerful. And there's another one by James Cook. I love this one. He says, do just once what others say you can't do, and you will never pay attention to their limitations again. There's a good one by Michael Jordan. If you accept the expectations of others, especially negative ones, then you will never change the outcome. And so I had a situation, this was back when I was in the 90s, when I had quit my job. I left the builder that I was working for, Syntex Rooney, which was part of Syntex Construction Group, which at the time in the 90s, they were the largest builder in the world. And I quit my steady paying job, and I borrowed 50 grand on my credit cards, and I bought 2 foreclosure properties and started working on them. I remember not only my father-in-law, because I was married at the time, but also my own father were not supportive of my decision to do it. Oh, you're going to lose everything. You're going to ruin your marriage. You're going to file bankruptcy. It's never going to work out for you. And at the end of the day, these were their limitations. These were their expectations. And I remember years later I was talking to my dad because I basically said, look, if you're not going to be positive, if you're not going to be supportive of my decision, then in a nice way I basically said, keep it to yourself because I don't want to hear it. I mean, because at that point in my life, I just was simply not willing to listen to him and his own low expectations that he had for himself because he wasn't being helpful. I wanted him to be supportive of what I was doing, and he wasn't. And he just didn't want me to suffer. He didn't want me to go through pain or things to not work out for me. But at the end of the day, I also explained, I was like, look, it doesn't serve me to have you constantly telling me basically that you don't think I can pull it off, because I want people in my life that are positive, that believe in me, that think I can accomplish anything no matter what. And so if you ain't got anything positive to say, then I really don't want to fucking hear it. And that was pretty much the way I said it to him. And it was funny, years later when I succeeded, he said to me, he says, you know, I just want you to know that I'm really proud of you. And it was like, I don't know, 30, 31 years old at that point in my life. That was the first time my dad ever said he was proud of me. So, I mean, think about that for a second. And so that's why it's so important that you got to know who you are and what you want and what is important to you. And at the end of the day, nobody else knows what's in your heart. They don't know what you feel inside. My dad and my father-in-law and everybody else that was in my life at that time that did support me, they didn't know what I felt. They didn't know that I hated getting up in the morning and going to my job. They didn't understand those things because they weren't walking in my shoes. They weren't living the life that I was living. And at that point in my life, I had always, I had gotten comfortable to the point where when my internal enthusiasm for a job was gone, in other words, when I was at the point where I was having to literally force myself to get up in the morning to go to the office, I knew it was time to move on. I knew it was time to look for the next opportunity, the next thing, the next step, rung in the ladder, if you will, in my career path to get to where I wanted to go. And I always moved in that direction. And every time in my life when I've relied upon what I felt internally as the guidance, in other words, when I was comfortable listening to my own internal guidance, everything always worked out. But every single time that I didn't listen to that internal guidance and I went against what felt right for me, I always either went through a lot of struggle or had a really difficult time, and I learned the lesson that next time around I absolutely will learn to trust my heart. I mean, not listening to my heart is what ultimately led me to get married to somebody who I love, but I wasn't in love. And anybody that if you've experienced it personally, or anybody that you know that's gone through a divorce, it's not a lot of fun. And so I learned a very valuable lesson when it came to settling in relationships. And at the end of the day, you've got to be happy with the person that you see in the mirror every day. And just like one of the things that Steve Jobs used to say every morning, he used to look in the mirror and he used to say to himself, if today was going to be my last day on earth, would I want to do what I'm about to do today? And he said that when he realized the answer was no too many days in a row, he knew he needed to change something. So let's get into this guy's email here. He says, hey coach, I watched many of your videos on YouTube and I've read your book, and I have a very important question on something. It seems you were raised in harsher circumstances than I, with a parent having drug or alcohol issues or something like that. My dad, basically, he got drunk every night and passed out watching TV, and that's pretty much what he did. Even to this day, he likes to drink at night, and at nighttime he has a couple glasses of wine, sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 glasses, and he passes out in front of the TV. That's just his thing. That's what he does. It's his life. It's his body. And like when I was younger, he was angry and he was pissed off all the time, so he was either ignoring us or smacking the shit out of us when we were doing something wrong, or just pissed him off, basically. And so I spent a lot of my childhood just trying not to piss my dad off so he didn't beat the crap out of me. And so he says, and I see a theme in your videos of just moving towards your life goals and not putting so much stock into what everyone else thinks of you. Yeah, because it really doesn't fucking matter. That's one of the things I love about Jimmy Johnson, the former NFL coach. He really doesn't care what you think. And I think that's a great philosophy to live your life, because if you go through your life worrying about what other people think, you're just going to make yourself miserable in the process. And at the end of the day, the whole purpose of life is to find a way to enjoy it, to fill your day up with as many things and as many activities and circumstances and people that are to your liking, that are to what you really want to do, that are emotionally compelling to you. So you literally have the freedom to come and go as you please, and to spend your time with the kind of people that you've always wanted to. So he says, I see people who grew up in worse circumstances tend to be more independent and take more action in life and care less about what other people think. I believe in that attitude a lot, though. It's like, well, it's really served me well in life. But, I guess in part, it's like growing up in that environment where I was so forced to do the will of my parents or what other people wanted me to do, that, when you finally get to be 18 years old, you're like, I want to get the fuck out of here. I want to live my life. I'm going to do what I want, when I want, with who I want. And so having known what it's like to live in a life where you feel like nothing you do is your own choice, and then to go to the kind of life and lifestyle that I have today, I want everybody to experience. I don't want anybody to have to experience the pain that I experienced growing up, the dissatisfaction. I mean, I didn't enjoy my childhood. All I could think about was, I can't wait to get the fuck out of here, and I can do my own thing, and I can come and go as I please. I can create the kind of life that I want, doing the kind of things that I want to do, and with the kind of people I want to do them with. So he says, I have a mother who was very protective of me when I was younger, and a father who was somewhat protective for a father. And they care very much of what I do in life. Wayne Dyer also said something I think was really powerful. And whether you're a parent or not, I mean, everybody is either a parent or is a child of a parent. And he said, kids come through you, they don't come for you. And a lot of parents think that in order to make themselves feel good about their own lives, that they've got to beat their children into submission, or manipulate or cajole or force children to become the people that they think they should be, instead of giving that child everything it needs to feel loved, lovable, successful, and encouraged to become the person that they were meant to be, encouraged to go and do the kinds of things that are emotionally compelling to them. Because some people are meant to be teachers, some people are meant to be carpenters and build houses, or to be a mason. Some people are meant to be astronauts. Some people are meant to be accountants. Everybody has innate gifts, skills, and talents that are already inside of you. And the only way they can come out is through practice. Like I say all the time, repetition's the mother of skill. You are what you do repeatedly. So find, just like Confucius said, do something that you love for a living, and you will never have to work a day in your life. I mean, I love what I do. I really enjoy this shit. It's so exciting to me to know that I'm helping people all over the world in all kinds of different cultures. It's just absolutely amazing. It's just, I can't think of anything better to do with my life than what I'm doing now. I mean, it's exciting. Like every day, it's like Christmas. It's like waking up on Christmas morning and wanting to see what you got, or wanting to see what, what are all your birthday presents. So he says, they put a lot of stock in how they raise me, and they expect me to not go against how they raise me. And they must be attached to their well-being or their purpose in life, I guess. He says, my mom especially gets emotionally or mentally devastated when I make a decision that's not necessarily bad for me, but goes against how they raise me or their reputation. He says, I want to be that guy that you describe who takes action unapologetically in life, but at the same time, I don't want to unintentionally hurt them. Like having my mom go see a shrink, go to the ER, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Well, at the end of the day, no amount of you feeling miserable about the fact that your mom's feeling miserable about you or your situation is going to do anything to help her. The best thing that you can do as her son is to do something that you love for a living, and to do it so well that other people can't take their eyes off you, so you get compensated really well. And I'll tell you what, it's like success cures everything. Just like one of my favorite football teams, the Dolphins, hasn't done real well these past few years. And obviously we got a new coach last year, and the team's doing better, and so everybody's pretty optimistic about all the changes they've made in the offseason. And one of the things that the coach says is winning cures everything. And so that's the best thing you can do, is to go out and win at whatever it is that you want to do in life. When you become a really great big success at it, that is usually what shuts your parents up and your friends and your family and all those people that don't support you. Because that's what I experienced in my life. When I started succeeding in the things I dreamed about, years later, they were like, oh, hey, I'm really proud of you. That's amazing. But at the end of the day, just like Stevie Wonder said, you can't live your life according to other people's expectations. So he says, so what do I tell my parents when, for example, I date a girl that they aren't fond of? Mom and Dad, I love you, but quite frankly, I really don't give a fuck what you think. She's awesome. She's hot. I dig her. If you're not going to support me in my relationship with her, then, hey, give me a call when you change your mind, because I'm not going to be around you and have you trying to make me miserable, because I don't need your approval. I want you to support me and be glad that I found somebody that I'm happy with, instead of being miserable and upset because you haven't accepted this person. You're not sleeping with her. You're not having to live with her. So why should you be getting all bent out of shape because of how I choose to live my life? Honestly, that's what I've told my own parents. And recently I was with a friend of mine, somebody I've known for a long time, and he was basically telling me that he didn't approve of a certain thing or a certain way that I'm showing up in my life and my business. And at the end of the day, I basically told him in no uncertain terms, I really don't give a fuck what you think. I didn't spend all of these years growing this business to the point that it's at, so I'm going to let someone like you come in and tell me what I should and shouldn't be saying, what I should and shouldn't be doing, when you don't know a fucking first thing about the business that I have and what I do. It's like, come on, I love you. We've been friends for 20 years, but I'm going to be me. If you can't accept me for me, well, you know what? That's your problem. If you want to make yourself miserable because of that, that's your problem. I'm happy. I love what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep doing it in the way that I'm doing it because it fulfills me. And if you have a problem with that, well, you know what? Lead by example. Go be great at doing something that you love instead of being jealous and envious of my own success. That's something to think about. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way to get my help is to go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking a paid phone coaching session. I will talk to you soon.